So as I said, I took a risk hiring this guy for my marketing, but it wasn't nearly the risk that I took years ago when I decided, at the time I had made $150,000 in my business. It was I think the first year I had left, I'm trying to remember, yeah, I'd left the industry. So this is like now I'm trying to grow this business, coaching business. I decided I wanted to use Facebook. And I remember I was in this little mastermind and I told these ladies, I said, I want to, back then even, I was like, I want to make $1 million. And I was making, it was 100, 150 tops. And one of the ladies said, oh, you should do Facebook ads. And I know this guy, they help like millionaires and they help Robin Sharma, I think his name is, and he makes 10 million. Like they're the best. And at that point, I had learned enough and invested enough money in phonies. And some of them weren't phonies, but still I didn't make the money back. And that I was like, if I'm going to invest, I was actually at a point where I'd rather invest big with the better coaches and get bigger results than invest, peanuts and then get no results, right? So I ended up talking to these guys, these Facebook ad guys, and like I said, they were working with 7-figure earners, and I was, just barely making over 100 grand. And it was November at the time, and I had made 150,000, and they said our fee is $5,000, and then you got to pay a month, and then it's plus we take 15% of the not the upside of your revenue, not even of the upside, 15% of your revenue. And then also you got to put money in Facebook ads. So expect that to be about $5,000. So a month, right? And it will change and shift depending. And I was like doing the math and I'm like, but I got to make $1 million. So I was like, okay, so I'm going to invest basically $10,000 a month plus percentage of the revenue. So at least that's revenue. So that's over $120,000 a year. And at that point I'd made $150,000. And I said yes. And I was like, well, if they can do it and get people to 7 figures, then like this is what I need. I need marketing. And I know I'm good at sales. I know I'm good at the transformation, but I wasn't good at the marketing. So I was like, that was like the biggest risk I ever took financially, And so I did it. And then I started to internally, I don't know why Cheap Chip would do this, but started to freak out. And I was like, oh my God. And like, basically I had all these other things going on, right? And they're asking me these questions like and at the time, you're like, these are things I teach, but I didn't really know. They're like, well, who's your avatar? Who's your ideal client? Who, what's your message? Like all these things that I'm teaching you, but they just assumed I already knew it. Like they weren't teaching me that. They were just saying, what is it? What is it? And then they were going to put an ad together and start this webinar. And I had never done a webinar and all these things. And then they said, okay, for this whole process, for this funnel, they put the funnel together, but they're like, what we need from you is we need to know we need you to know your avatar, who we're targeting, and then we need you to write this blog vertorial. And I was like, what's a blog vertorial? And I'm like, I don't know, there's my stupid thing coming up again. I don't know what a blog vertorial is, but I know what a blog is and I know what editorial is, so it's probably something fancy like they put together. I'm like, cool, I'll write this blog vertorial. And basically they gave me examples and it was this long ass, not sales page, but blog page with all these, what they called Venus flytraps, which means that's like, here's a little button to go book a call and here's a little button to do something else. And all they did, sorry to say, but they kind of just showed me an example and it was freaking hard. And so if it was hard and it was all this work and it was creation work that I didn't know, I was just procrastinating, saying like, I can't do, like, I don't know how to do this. I don't know. And I got these old patterns. I don't know how to do this. I can't do this. I don't know how to do this. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. Whatever was coming up in my mind. And then of course I could bury myself in all the other things I had to do because I was busy. I had my first PYFP on December 5th coming up. So I was like, I have to do that. And so I wasn't doing anything. And they're like, where's the blog tutorial? And I'm like, there's boom, $5,000 is spent, right? I'm still paying them consulting, right? And then December comes and it's been like a month and a half. I still haven't done it. And then we go on vacation. We're in this RV. We go up to Niagara Falls. And basically I'm like opening my computer and talking to my husband. And I'm like asking him, I'm like, how do I do this? And he's a business consultant. He should be able to help me. And he asks me all these questions. Well, what happens after the blog tutorial? I don't know. Well, because he needed to know the whole process. And I just didn't know. I don't know. So I'm like, totally in what I call the swamp. It's like I'm freaking out. I did the math and I'm like, that's $250 a day that I'm paying these guys and I have to write this thing and I felt like I couldn't do it and I was just like sweat, you know, and I'm like, this isn't working, I can't do this, like, I didn't think it would be this hard, like, I thought I had this stuff figured out, but I didn't, and all these internal things are going on, and all these reasons why I just couldn't do this anymore, and this was a bad decision, and I screwed up, even though I signed a 12-month contract, and I was like, I can't do it. And so I still, by December 31st, end of the year, I didn't write the blog vertorial, and then I was like, I have to book a call with them. I gotta tell them, like, I gotta pause, like, this is not working. Like, I'm in the swamp, I can't see, I have no visibility, I'm freaking out, I feel like everything is going wrong, I'm in this downward spiral with my mindset, just boom, 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 and I'm like, this isn't working. So I go to them, and I'm like, we need to talk. We get on a call, and I'm like, guys, you know, sorry, like, this is really hard, harder than I thought. I'm really busy with the other things. I don't have time to create this stuff, and like, I just need to pause. Like, I clearly need to go work on stuff and go create things and figure all this out. And then once I figure it out, then I can come back and we can start again, and then we'll be ready to run these Facebook ads. But like, I can't do it right now because I gotta, you know, stop and do it myself and figure it out. And they're like, well, what do you mean pause? Like, okay, you can pause. Like, you can pause. We don't have to run ads yet. That's fine. But you still have to pay us. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. I don't think you got this. No, I can't do this right now. Like, I don't have time to do this. I have to stop. I have to go create this thing first. Like, first before we do this, I got to figure this out. Like, I can't keep paying you guys. Like, this is not working. I just have to pause. Just pause payments. And I promise, like, I'll start again. I just need like a couple months to work on this, and then I'll do it again. Right? I'll come back. You know, and they're like, well, you can pause all you want, but you got to keep paying us. You signed a 12-month contract. Like, this is what you said you wanted. You said you wanted to get to $1 million. Like, you pausing, like, your 2 months will be 12 months. You'll never get this done. Like, the best way to get it done is to get it done. Like, let's do this webinar. Let's make you money, and let's just keep making it better and better. And I was like, crap. I'm like, they got me. I'm like, I felt like, okay, I made the commitment. When someone says I made a commitment, you know, I don't back up on, like, I was trying to make it sound cool, like I'm pausing, like it's not quitting, but I was quitting. And there's no way, had I not continued, that I would ever get that done. And so I said, fine, like, instead of pausing, I'm gonna put my foot on the gas and I'm gonna go full force and I'm gonna make this happen. And it was scary, it was uncomfortable. I still felt like I didn't know how to do it. They gave me a ton of tools. I started just listening to them and being coachable and doing it despite my fear. And then I had my first webinar, and we had it set, and because we had to do it soon, because now I'm like, I gotta make money, I gotta figure this out, I'm gonna listen to them, I'm gonna be coachable, I'm gonna keep going, I'm gonna put my foot on the gas. Then I was like up like till hours and hours of the night, like just getting this done, trying to figure out how to do this. And then they ran through the webinar with me and got it all ready and what we're gonna drive them to and all these things. Finally got the blog vertorial done, which they ran for like a week. I know. And then it was like, oh, this isn't working. Let's just try a lead magnet. I'm like, seriously? Procrastinated for two months on that. And then I finally had my first webinar, and I said, okay, cool, we'll do the webinar on Thursday. It's coming up, and I'm like, and then I'm going to Tony Robbins' event, so we can just like, I'll open my calendar for the next week, or the webinar was Wednesday or something. And they're like, are you kidding me? Like, you can't do a webinar and then not be available, because the whole thing was to drive them to a call, and then like 3 days later or 4 days later. So I was like, shit, I'm already going to this Tony Robbins event volunteering. So then I was like, okay, I'll open my calendar, I'll find a way. So I go to this Tony Robbins event, and I'm volunteering, and so I was in charge of the mic running. So now I'm like in charge of like having everybody run mics, and then I would be like, there was this woman, Terry, there, who was really cool, and so I was like, Terry, can you cover for me? And I'd run out, and I'd be like, I have to get on a call, and I'd get on a call with someone. This is before I was targeting financial advisors, so there's a lot of broke coaches. And I'm like, not qualified, you know, half an hour later, free call. I come back and I'm like, running mics, doing this. And then you're up to like 2, 3 in the morning, just like not sleeping. When the next day, call, next one, call, next one, not qualified. And I'm probably doing a lot of things wrong as well, but not qualified. Finally, I get this one call, and this woman, I see right as I pull up my computer and get in this room, and I see that she says, hey, I know we have a call in a few minutes, but I actually don't need it anymore. And I was like, oh, hell no, you're doing that to me right now. Like, I just left. I haven't slept in a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. I actually had started getting this eye infection. My eye was like super red because I hadn't slept in so long and I was working so hard. And I was just like so stressed. And then someone at the Tony Robbins event, he's like, oh, I have these eye drops. And I had no idea. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then it made it worse, and I was getting all infected. So I'm like on a call going, hey, you know, I said, oh, I saw that email. But luckily I wasn't on Zoom at this point. And like, I saw that email, and I know you didn't want to talk, but you must have a reason for reaching out and like having this conversation. So tell me what's going on. And then I went through the whole sales process, And it turns out that she was already in a coaching program, and I was like, well, how's it going? And she's like, well, you know, it's not very good. Like, she's really nice, the person who's leading it, it's all women, so it's like, oh, I don't know if I have something to offer here. But she says, but no one's making money. And I'm like, or she's like, but I'm not making money. And I'm like, okay, but is anyone else making money? And she's like, no, not really. And I said, well, is at least the person who's teaching it making money? And she's like, I don't think she's making very much money. And I'm like, well, then, you know, maybe there's a fit here. And so we realized, you know, in the end, like, she really felt confident that I could help her, and she ended up making a deposit and joining FEM. And that is Denise Purdy. I have two Denises, sorry. And Denise Purdy ended up joining FEM. She was actually a health coach. She ended up being, you know, more of a kind of a lifestyle coach and changing things. And I think, like, within the first FEM, she tripled her income, and then she completely I mean, now it's like she did FEM, I think, 3 or 4 times, completely changed her life, changed her relationship with her husband, changed her relationship with her girls, and just like, she's super grateful. And I always go back and think about, like, how I could have quit. If I had quit, I would not have changed Denise's life. You know, if I had quit, like, I would not have, like, and it's also my life, because she was really a big part of my life, like, being in FEM. Like, you know, I become friends with my clients, and I really value their opinion and their help and everything. And actually, when I was, I'm going to tell you a new story. I'll tell you later, we'll drop that as a loop. But she helped me in a lot of ways as well when I had a challenge myself. So what I want you guys to realize is that you're going to be in the swamp, okay? Again, the swamp, it's like you're in your own head. You have this downward spiral. You feel like you can't break through. You feel like there's you can't see, and you start to think everything is just not working. And you guys have been there, right? Who here has been in the swamp? Okay, good. You can relate. Okay, and then you start to focus on all the things that you are just like, it just feels like these are all the reasons why you can't have whatever it is that you want. Okay, and when that happens, it's really hard to get out of it. You know, when I was in that, it was like, I didn't feel like there was an option for me. And what's great about FEM is that it's like this. It's like, if you think of this analogy, you're literally in this swamp, and you're dredged in mud, and you can't get through. You don't know which way is which and how to get out of it, and you have no visibility, and you, like, there's leeches and stuff on you, and you're like, I just want to die. I just want to give up, and you want to quit. And then you can, like, kind of barely open your eye. And then we're like, we're over here on the other side. And we're all there. It's not just me, but we're there. And we have this big rope. And we're like, here, get the rope. You know, and we're going to pull you out. But you got to tell us you're in the swamp. We don't know you're in the swamp. We're going to be now virtual on WhatsApp and on calls and stuff. And you can pretend you're not in the swamp. Or you can say, hey, I'm here. We're all going to be there. And, like, the thing is, I said this in my book, like, success is through the swamp. There is no person in history who has success and fulfillment in their life who has not been in the swamp multiple times. And usually, you know, that swamp is like worse than you would ever imagine, and you would never want what they had. You know, Tony Robbins talks about how his mom would wash his mouth out with soap, like, literally, you know, and how he would beat, like, she beat him. And, like, he's grateful for it, like crazy. But he's like, if she wasn't like that, I wouldn't be able to be where I am today. There's no way I would be the person I am today if I didn't have that, right? So, like, we would never want to be in the swamp like these successful people. Oprah, you know, I mean, come on, like, the things that these people have gone through, we would not want. But the success is through the swamp. So when you're in the swamp, you should be grateful. And I'm not saying you will be grateful, because you're in the freaking swamp. You can't see. But I'm just reminding you that it's like success is on the other side. And if you try to go around it, you might get money, you might get success, but you won't get fulfillment. So these things will happen. There will be a time that you probably want to quit. There will be a time you're going to say, Robin, hey, can you give me my money back? You know, I don't know this is right for me right now because of whatever. And unless you are having a challenge that's you truly, like, I don't think it will serve you right now. There was one woman who was in the FEM that's coming back tomorrow, and she got a job. Like, she didn't know she was going to get a job, but she was basically in a commission-based position, and then she got a job at, like a Chase or something like that. And she really didn't have a way for, like, 4 months to make money. I didn't give her money back, but I said, you know what? I told her, let's pause your FEM, not to pause the results, but like it didn't make sense. So if there's something like that that comes up where like it really doesn't make sense, I might say, okay, maybe do this when you're ready, 6 months later. It's going to be very rare though, because you guys, like, if you want to make money tomorrow, you need to do the work today, right? So you need everything to happen now.